Hey guys, today we are going to finish our notes for our notebook over topographic maps. So just as a recap, we have already done our vocab. So we remember that a topographic map shows us the shape and elevation of land features from a top-down view. A contour line is a line joining points of equal elevation on a surface. So we know that these lines all have, one line has the same elevation all the way around. Then the next line has a different elevation all the way around. And the difference between those two lines is what our contour interval is, the difference in elevation between each contour line. So we are going to add 3 more pages to your notes today, and I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really not. So you're going to need this first page, topographic map of Rock Valley. The second page you're going to need is the topographic map of Rock Valley questions. And then finally, the third page is where you're going to compare 2 different topographic maps. So let's start with the first one, which is the topographic map itself. Now, I want my map and my questions to be on the same page. That's just my preference, so that when I read a question, I can immediately look at the map without having to flip back and forth. So what I'm going to do is I have my vocab on the left. I'm going to leave this page blank on the right, and we'll come back in a little bit and put something right here. But I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the page where I have 2 blank pages. And I'm going to put my map over here. So first thing you need to do is cut this out all the way around. And just to save time, I have already cut one out. So if you want to pause the video real quick and cut it out all the way around, make sure you leave the tab. Go ahead, pause. Okay, now that you have it cut out, on this dotted line, we are going to fold this backwards. Just like this. Fold the tab backwards. We're going to put glue right here on this tab. And it doesn't matter which way you want to put it. I'm going to put mine this way. That way when I'm answering my questions, we can turn our notebook and everything will be facing the same way. So you'll see in just a second. Okay, so then remember I said I wanted this and this page together because I have my map and now I have my questions. So I'm going to glue my questions right here. First, you need to cut it out. Same thing all the way around. Make sure you keep the tab on. Again, to save time, I already have mine cut out. So this is what it should look like. So go ahead and pause right here and get yours cut out. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing. Take this tab, fold it backwards. Oh, mine got a little crazy. That's okay. Put glue. And then here's what I was talking about. I want them to face the same way, so I'm going to turn my notebook like this and glue it this direction. That way, as I'm reading these questions, I can look at the map and everything's facing the same way. I don't have to flip any pages and I don't have to be ruffling through anything. So we have 1 page left, and we'll go ahead and get that cut out and glued also, and then we'll come back and actually start working through this. So I'm going to go back a page to where our vocab is, where I left this page blank. And we're going to cut out this 3rd page, and it's going to get glued here. So I have mine already cut out. Here we are. So go ahead and pause here and get yours cut out. And now we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to turn my notebook the same way just to make it easier. So again, we're going to fold this backwards, just like this. We're going to put glue right here and get it glued in. Okay. Now, let's flip back this way. This is the map that we're going to be using today. And then these are some questions that we're going to answer. I am actually going to walk through all of these with you. That way I can show you whenever we look at these questions and we're having to analyze this map, you can kind of follow me through the steps that I take whenever we're analyzing these maps. So we're going to start with question 1. And question 1 says, what is the elevation at position B? So we find position B on the map. It's right here. So we have position A, B, C, and D. So it would be a lot easier if we could just look at position B and it had a number by it, but it doesn't. The contour line doesn't, the next one doesn't, then if we follow this one out, that one doesn't either. But if we go one more out each way, now I'm finding some numbers. So the first thing you have to do, most contour maps will give you the interval. If they don't, that's probably the first thing that you're going to want to figure out. So remember that the interval is the space between each line. So you need to find 2 lines that have numbers attached to them. So this right here, this contour line over by A, this is a height or an elevation of 500 meters. Then if I go to the next line out, I'm looking, I'm following it through the map, it does not have a number. So I'm going to have to go to the next line and see if it does. This line, 520. Or if I go on this side, this one also is 520. So if I skip 2 lines, and the difference between these two is 20, but I have a line right here, I'm going to cut this in half. So that would make sense if this is 500 meters, this is going to be 510 meters, this is going to be 520 meters, 530, 540, and then 550. So I am going to go ahead and label them. So I know 500 is here, so I'm going to label mine 510 here. I'm still going up, so 520, this goes to 530, this goes to 540. So then this one, where B is, must be 550. If you can see this. Now, this is what I've been writing. I highly recommend on all contour maps, especially if you're taking a test, that if there's a line that's not labeled, figure out the interval and go ahead and label your lines. So now we can go back and answer, what is the elevation at position B? 500, around 550 meters. Now our next question, what is the elevation at position C? So we're just going to go through and do the same process because there's no elevations labeled over here, so we're going to start back from something that we know. Well, we labeled this one as 510. This one is already labeled for us as 520. So if our interval is 10, we add 10 to 520, which makes 530 meters for this line. Then we go up the hill or up the mountain. This one is going to be 540. This next one is 550 because our interval is 10, so we add 10. Then to get to C, we're going to be 560. 560 meters. Let me zoom in real quick, make sure you got that. So now we're able to go back and answer number 2. What is the elevation at position C? Well, by finding the interval and adding up our lines, we just figured out it is 560 meters. Number 3, which position has the higher elevation, C or D? We figured out that C was at 560 meters. D is actually labeled for us as 550, and our question was asking which position has the higher elevation, which means we're looking for the larger number, so either 550 or 560. Which one is larger? It is 560. So how I want to answer this question is C, and it's about 10 meters higher. Okay, number 4 asks us, what is the contour interval? So what is the space or the amount of distance, the change in elevation between each line? And we already established that we're adding 10 meters each time. So our contour interval is 10 meters. Number 5, what is the elevation change from A to B? So we're looking for a change in elevation from A to B. A has an elevation of 500 meters. B has an elevation of 550 meters. So we're looking for the change in elevation, which means we need to find the difference. So we're going to take 550, subtract 500. So our difference, or our change in elevation, is 50 meters. Okay, number 6 is really tricky. If you hiked a direct route, so direct means from point A to point B, you're making a straight line. If you hiked a direct route, well, from C to D, what is the net elevation change? So net means total. So what we're going to do is we're going to look from C to D. From C, we're at 560, and at D, we're at 550. So what net means is what is basically the difference. It's almost like what's the elevation change from A to B. So all we actually have to do to find the net change is take 560 and subtract 550. Because even though you're traveling all this distance, the net change, or the overall change from your start point to your finish point, is just 560 minus 550, which is only 10 meters. Because it's the net elevation change. Now, if I asked you total distance, that's whenever you would add up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So that would have been 80 meters difference if you're finding the total difference. But I just want the net change in elevation. So it's just the change. Something that may help you. Actually, let's go to this page first. Okay. We're going to compare these two contour maps, or topographic maps. This one is from 1859. It's a hill. We don't have any contour lines labeled, but that's okay, we may not need it. Then here's the exact same mountain or hill at 2014. So there's quite a bit of a time difference, and if you'll notice, they don't look exactly the same anymore. So what conclusion can be made about why the two maps look so different? I want you to think about it for a second, and then I'm going to give you a hint and see if you can come up with it. Start here, end here. What could cause this change right here? Here's my hint. That's my hint. So water, maybe. You could canoe down it now. That's my hint. So I want you to go back through your notes and tell me what you think is happening here, and I'll come by and check it. Now, one last thing that may help you as we're learning these is if you want to grab some crayons or colored pencils, my advice is you can go through and color code this. So you could take all of 500 and you could color it yellow. Then you could find everywhere that's 510 and you could color it pink. Find everywhere that's 520 and make it blue. That way what you're doing is you're able to actually see this is the area that has the same elevation, and it may just help you as you're learning to be color-coded at first, but remember that everything you're going to be tested on and all the ones we're going to use are going to be black and white. So that's going to be up to you.